do that.
Yeah. All right. And we're live. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert Michaels. Glad you're here. We've got a great show lined up tonight. Marien from maxacro.com is with us. Cue the round of applause. Super stoked about that. We're going to have a great show. We're going to talk about all things paragliding, and especially we're going to focus. Max doesn't have a clue what we're going to talk about, and we didn't talk about what we're going to do. He has no idea where the show's going to go. Tonight, we're going to talk about man buns and long hair. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Let's hit up Andy Ford.
I see her.
No, we're actually going to talk about SIV tonight. And so I know that Max is probably one, if not the best, when it comes to SIVs and SIV clinics. And it just has an incredible perspective, unlike probably any other. And so we're going to have a great show tonight. We're going to talk about SIV trainings, and we're going to try to convince some of you guys to jump on the SIV bandwagon tonight. So before I do that, I want to mention a couple sponsors. One of those is a newer sponsor. It's actually a sponsor that just came up recently. This is DreamLifterParamotors.com. There'll be a link in the description. You can get a hold of these guys. But this is a Northern California, I would say, middle California training place for paramotoring. And so if you want to reach out to those guys, it's Harley Milne's organization. He's going to be training, and you can get signed up with him by going to his website. That's DreamLifterParamotors.com. Excuse me. Also want to mention PPG Smoke, Ryan Roberts. He's the one that's created the PPG Smoke systems. There's all kinds of cool stuff on his website. It started off with the smoke machine, and then it evolved into chase cam and lamels and some the Unity headset and several other things. Go check out PPGSmoke.com. Also want to mention paramotorprops.com. That's another sponsor in the show. Paramotorprops.com is a great place to go and get some new props in case you blow one up. And they have some great stuff on their website, paramotorprops.com. So Max has been in the game for many of years. Pretty much grew up in the paragliding community, and also, if I could throw in their hang gliding community, because he's done that as well. At one point, Max held the world record for infinite tumble, and that's a feat in itself just to pull off one infinite tumble, let alone hold the world record for it at one point. And then also he's got an SIV training website that's called maxacro.com. And so if I could just put a quick plug in for that, go check out his website, and he's got some classes that are going to be set up for the whole year. There's going to be some really cool ones. There's one even in Turkey, I believe. And so if you want to get on those, you better sign up quick, because the classes fill up very fast, because high demand over at maxacro.com. Also want to just encourage you, if you're in the San Diego area, maybe you're at the Salton Sea and it gets blown out and you're deciding before you go home, you want to go and hit the coast, go to Torrey Pines Glider Port. Come say hi to Max. Typically that's where you're going to find him. And if he's not doing an SIV, and it is a beautiful place to go and fly. Make sure you've got your P3. And if you don't, it's okay. You can go in there and sign up for some training and get your P3. So anyways, super stoked. Max, at the last second, I would send him a text. I'm like, hey, do you want to come on the show? And his response was, I would be honored to. And so I just want to say thanks, Max, for making time for us. I know you're busy and with all the things that are going on in your new life. Congratulations, by the way, on getting married. Super stoked about that.
Thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate that. Yeah,
all the pictures.
Been married for 4 months now. It was just our 4-month anniversary beginning of this month. So yeah, it has been great honeymoon bliss over here.
Super stoked for you guys.
It's been great. Couple things that I'd also like to mention in parallel to what your big throw out there. Yeah. I'm going to be going to Guatemala and hosting a clinic in Guatemala next month. Nice. So I still have space available for that. That is an incredible destination site as well. It is one of the places that I've been in the world where I said I could live here I could buy a house and build a shop and totally be happy to be in Guatemala. So it is a beautiful location. Check out some YouTube videos of it. If you're interested in going with me, just reach out to me. We're basically renting a house there in town near the landing zone, heading up to launch. And the idea with this course, it's not as intensive of an SIV course as I would normally host at the lake. It's going to be more of a tour style where we're going to do SIV maneuvers, but taking it at a slow pace, as well as doing some cross-country flying, and then just, experiencing the local, the local culture, I guess would be the best way to put it. It's a really rad place. Mayan history there. It tripped me out. I went there for the first time just last year, and it was just so stoked on this place. So yeah, if anybody would like to go to Guatemala with me next month, we are leaving. I believe it's the 19th to the 22nd. Dates are on my website at the. Let me know if you want to go. It is a beautiful, beautiful spot, and it'd be a great time. Another thing that you might not know about me is that I'm also a tandem admin. So I do host tandem clinics now as well, and I happen to have one starting tomorrow out at Torrey. Nice. So if you would like to find out about doing that, you can also hit me up after the show. But basically, we'll be meeting tomorrow, Torrey, starting at 10. The requirement is that you already have a P4, 200 plus hours. You should be, obviously very well experienced in order to take this course and feel confident in your ability to fly yourself 100% so that you could take somebody else safely. But the course tomorrow starting will be the T1 training. As a T1 pilot, you can fly with other P1s or above, right? So nice. for your own training, you get your T1 and then get some practice in. Typically you'll spend, a few months getting flights in, maybe a little longer, and then go for your T3 after that. But if anybody wants to come and do the tandem training, I have a small group starting tomorrow, so let me know.
Nice. That's super cool. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I had no idea. maxacro.com is the website. Go check that out and sign up with that. But don't do it just yet because we need you here. We'll spin the wheel about the halfway mark of this show. So if you're chatting in the chatter box over there in the stream, then your name's being put in the spinning wheel of winning things.
They're all chatting like crazy. It's been blowing up, Robert.
Yep. So thanks, Sean, for managing that. And I want to just start off by talking about the SIV. I wrote down my questions. One of the main questions that I have is, what is the most important benefit that you're going to get from going through an SIV clinic with Max and the crew?
Okay. I'm going to answer this question with something that I would typically say to the group first thing. So before you come to an SIV, you need to learn how to paraglide. You need to be able to launch, land, fly on your own, right? And then when you come to the SIV, you will then learn how to paraglide. It is like learning a completely new sport. It's like starting from scratch. You'd be amazed at how much you as a pilot will progress in just a few days of going through these maneuvers. Doing these maneuvers shows you what paragliders really do, that 0.05% of the time where they're not flying straight and level. And so I would say that you'll see an amazing progression in yourself as a pilot, an amazing realization. You will literally learn how to fly all over again if you are just at that point where you just know how to fly unsupervised. Now, if you're a little more advanced, you've probably had the experiences that I'm talking about, that 0.05% of the time where the paraglider isn't behaving as normal. And that's what SIV is really about. It's intensity. We're going for how quickly am I going to be able to get back to the ground, not how long am I going to stay up for. And so the idea is we put ourselves through the ringer so that we're stronger, more prepared, and ready for what nature has in store for us.
Yeah. I've been in a couple situations where you're in thermals that are really strong and you're thinking, if this goes any faster, any higher, I'm going to start getting nervous. And it is nice to have some descent techniques that are not going to scare you while you're on your way down. If you've gone through an SIV, you can learn some of those things. By the way, John Wayne donated $10 to the super chat. Thanks, John Wayne. Appreciate you, man. So let's talk a little bit about that. Break down some of the tools that you're going to have in your toolbox for flying, because flying obviously is not just launching off a hill and wandering around in the air and then landing when there's no more lift. That might be a beginner type of mentality, but eventually you want to go somewhere, you want to do something, and that involves flying active air. Talk a little bit about what you're going to walk away with after you go through an SIV clinic.
So I'd say the most crucial part for what you're talking about, for being able to deal with turbulence, is really twofold. So one, the first and biggest thing in my mind is dynamic movement control, by which I mean, okay, you're flying along and the glider does something, so you take a deflation, well, it's going to want to turn and dive. And so anytime, and we experience this just turning and flying around, but anytime our gliders are banking and moving in this dynamic way where we're not just stable underneath it, that is a huge hole in a lot of people's learning, right? Now, if you've maybe practiced some like spiraling type turns or some dynamic turning movements like wing overs or pitch oscillations, kind of know what I'm talking about. That is a primary skill that you will come away from an SIV feeling way more confident. Just in simple things like your ability to maneuver for a landing, let's say. Beyond that, being able to deal with the problems that we run into, recognizing what they are, recognizing what a deflation is and how it's going to cause your glider to respond, and then how should you respond to that situation. The third thing that I would say you'll really enjoy out of Maneuvers Clear, walk away, the takeaway from it is recognition of the way that the glider behaves in these uncommon configurations, and in particular stall. Stall is something that we don't often do intentionally. If we're doing it intentionally, it's because we need to stabilize the situation, which is totally counterintuitive to somebody that's never stalled before. Right. But stall is a way of stabilizing the situation to stop dynamic movement so that I can then start flying again. So those are the primary things that you're looking for in an SIV. You learn about dynamic movement, things like pitch oscillations and wing overs and, spiraling, carving turns. You learn about deflations, because that's something that happens in turbulence. We want to know how it's going to happen, what causes it, how the glider is going to react, and how I'm going to react to the glider. And then I want to know about stall, because if I really have a situation where it's just going all over the place, I have a cascade of events, then I need to be able to put myself in a stall, restabilize the situation, and then start flying like normal.
What's your take on people flying with GoPros on their helmets? Just a random question.
I mean, it's that 0.5% of the time that it's not a good idea. Or 0.05. So I do it. I'd say it's totally fine until your head gets tangled up in the lines.
It's okay until it's not.
Okay until it's not. I recommend that pilots do like a knee cam. If you want to get that forward view, you can also do like a chest mount. It's okay, or just switch it around on your knee so that it's facing the other way. Any snag point in paragliding is not a good thing, but definitely being on your head is yeah. Well, you can imagine how it goes wrong, and anybody that's ever flown with a GoPro can imagine how that's going to go wrong. It's just whether or not you choose to take that risk.
Yeah, there is risk to reward, and I've been flying with one on my helmet for years and years, and didn't till even recently consider it. I just thought if it ever got bad enough, it would just be like and rip it off and go to my next deal. The problem hasn't been midair. The problem is always when I'm launching or even after a landing and I go to turn around and, just something decides it's going to get loose, especially with paramotoring. Oh, Crazy Uncle Bob donated $5 to Super Chat. He said, "Good evening, Mr. Michaels. I heard a joke about laser pointers and men." All right. I want to hear the joke, Crazy Uncle Bob. We've got many people now that will fly around with their cameras on their helmets. And I remember in the very beginning days, I said, I'm going to go for it, put it right there on the front. And, I considered, hey, this is going to be dangerous. Could I have, well, I'll tell you this. I learned a bunch from skydiving people because they have some, I guess, more aggressive situations. But I just kind of wanted to get your take on that. I know you've flown with cameras for years and years and years, and made some really cool videos in the past. And go check out some of the other episodes. I think episode 197, Max was on. Really cool. Tonight's episode's actually 250. So a milestone, 250. Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah, so glad you made it for 250. Yeah. So
now, Robert.
Yeah.
Robert, let me share something here. Check this out. So you see this?
Let me put you up. I'm going to do the main screen there. Oh, there you go.
You see this right here?
Yeah, that's super cool.
I got this from 50X Challenge.
That's
from
Harley.
He sent it out to me. Yeah.
That's so
I thought that was pretty awesome. He signed it and everything, man. Right there. I was like, yeah.
That's super cool, man. Yeah, I think my mom has one of those too. So
I give a shout out to him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about your SIV. There's a guy that Jason Tyler asked the question. He said, for Max, how much flight time should a pilot have before taking an SIV? I've heard that question before.
So at a minimum, you should be able to fly unsupervised. If you're still the pilot who is relying on an instructor, I mean, not that you need to be guided turn by turn, but if you're reliant on an instructor to tell you it's okay or not okay or what to do, then it's a little bit early. But beyond that, SIV is what you should do. And it is like a sport all onto itself. It resembles paragliding. We're definitely doing it with paragliding equipment, but it's a completely new hobby. I will tell you this though, don't be discouraged by whatever level you're at. I know of pilots that learned to fly in that way, that learned by towing behind a boat. And that was kind of how they got into it, was being part of an SIV scene. I've heard of those same kind of people doing stalls on like less than 10 flights. So just to show you how much of a different kind of ballpark it is. It's its own world. I want the pilots coming to me to be, kind of like P2 level or higher. And it's incredible. It's an easy way to fly. Really, it's being towed, and if you've ever towed, it's pretty straightforward. Follow the boat. The boat pulls you up. You go, and you just climb until you're at the end of the line. You release off of it. Now you have all this free space, all this free time to do, really whatever you choose to do up there. I would typically guide a person for like their first SIV flight through some pendulum control, so pitch oscillations, and then weight shift only wingovers, as well as some deflations. So if they're super duper new, those deflations would be something like big ears, maybe big ears and speed bar, and then using that as a descent technique. A little bit more advanced pilot would just go straight for deflations, right? A more advanced pilot would already just start with accelerated deflations, because why worry about those boring non-accelerated deflations? They don't do anything. Go straight for the bar and pull on some deflations. And then if you're really advanced, if you're in the acro game, then we forget all about that whole deflation thing. And do that no more. That's boring. Then we do more aggressive things, and start working towards becoming a completely different type of paragliding pilot, which is an acro pilot. And that's really my jam. From a beginning stage, a lot of pilots think of acro as being, this just way out there, far off in the distance. I'm never going to do that kind of goal. But my goal is to change your mind about that and tell you that if you learn acro paragliding from that early stage, then you will be a safer pilot. And that's really the reason to do this. Acro is something that you do by choice, not because you have to, whatever reason you have, ego, I'm doing this because I'm cool. You do it by choice. You choose the situation that you put yourself in. And, just like with any kind of flying, it has inherent risks. But if we manage those risks in an appropriate way, it's safe. And like I was saying, I've heard of people doing full stalls less than 10 flights. Imagine how crazy that is. So in my opinion, come to SIV, go to SIV so that you can learn how to paraglide, so you can learn about the sport that you're engaged in. Because, whether you're paramotoring and maybe some unforeseen weather scenario happens, or you're just regular paragliding, then we're always in that unforeseen weather scenario. If you're doing that, SIV can just happen. Look at it that way.
Yeah.
It just happened. Next thing you know, I'm doing this now.
Had that happen.
Yeah. So get ahead of it. Learn how to deal with the situations before you end up in those situations.
David Henriches donated $5 to the super chat. Thank you, David. I appreciate that contribution. I had a Cascade event over Palomar Mountain, and that was pretty intense. And I was so green to the sport, so new to the sport. I didn't know what to do. And so when that wing G'd up and I started into some dynamic maneuver stuff that I didn't know how or why I got into it, I realized I needed to take some courses. And the thing I said in the video, and almost all of you have probably seen the video, took the test in the air. We call it the Welcome to Palomar video. Well, when I landed, I said, I think I need some SIV, and comments for days about, go take an SIV. You need an SIV US. And I spent a long time justifying why I wasn't going to go to an SIV. Part of it was, I had just bought all this gear, and I can't afford to, now spend more money on a SIV clinic. But I'll tell you this, when I was with Max on radio doing my SIV, Max does not waste 1 second of airtime. As a matter of fact, there were a couple times where Max is calling me in, and I did whatever maneuvers I could all the way down, and until it's like I hear through the radio, "Okay, buddy, let's go ahead and come on in." And I'm like, "Yeah, I better start making my way to the beach, or I'm going to land in the water," which is fine too. But I one of the big takeaways that I had from that SIV was, we start off with the most dynamic stuff up high, so you have more room to correct, and then as you get lower, you get into the more things that you're competent and confident with, and then by the time you're done, it's like big wing overs and then come and land. And used every ounce of air that you can each pull. And these guys have been doing SIVs for so long that your toe, as long as you're being obedient to the toe rules, you're going to get a toe up into that 4,000 feet above the water type of toe, which is like the dream. You want to get as much as you can. These guys have been doing it long enough, and just have it down to an absolute science. Let's talk a little bit about, well, actually, let's do this. Let's spin the wheel, and then we'll come back and we're going to ask some questions. Let's spin the wheel and give something away. You're muted, by the way, Sean.
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
By the way, Gringo, I'm really
I'm
digging the ambiance with the campfire in the back. I'm really enjoying that. I don't know where you're going now.
Okay, no more names.
All right, that's the cutoff.
All right, finally. Oh, I tell you what, it was getting rough there for a little bit. It really was.
Reddit moment just said that. I think she said, "I met a Torrey Pines trained paramotor pilot who flew around with no netting or helmet." That's awesome.
Did they also have long hair? That was me. No, it was.
All right,
I actually
Robert, you ready?
I don't know who it was that I heard a story. They their helmet hit the prop.
Oh.
I don't know how that can happen, but I guess that happened.
I have heard of that several times, actually.
Yeah, it was Ron Turan, and they were in Egypt. Yeah, you can go ahead and spin the wheel, Sean. Let it rip.
All right, here we go. No more names in the wheel, and here we go.
Oh my gosh, Reddit. The comments Reddit has are hilarious. All right, the spin of this wheel is brought to you by Calamity Kite Clinic. CalamityKiteClinic.com is the website. If you want to sign up and get some ground handling training, this is your chance to do that. You want to be the best you can possibly be on the ground, because you'll be better in the air. CalamityKiteClinic.com. Also want to mention local sponsor here, American Allied Drains and Plumbing. If you're in the San Diego area and you're in need of plumbing, American Allied Drains and Plumbing is your company. If you mention Paragliding Talk, you will get a 10% discount on all of your services. 844-777-9055. Ooh-wee. Oh, it's going to be so close to the line.
Oh,
it's duck spit.
Duck spit PPG.
Duck spit.
Congratulations.
PPG. Congratulations, winner chicken dinner. And please reach out. You don't even know what you won. You want a paraglidingtalk.com t-shirt. So go to the website, paraglidingtalk.com, and go /contact and give me your information. Tell me what shirt size you have, and we'll send that straight out to you. Duck spit PPG. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. All the new people. There's a ton of new faces in here. Ton of new people in here tonight. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't done that, just take a minute and click that subscribe. And if you like the content, it's worth clicking a like too. Don't you know?
Paragliding.com all see.
He's got the robot down.
Green goes out there doing robot, but I know what he said. He said, it's because I'm out here handing out stickers to everybody and telling them to log on to Paragliding Talk, because he was doing that before the show. He's just driving through camps yelling at people, paraglidingtalk.com, it's 6 o'clock. Yeah. I gave him a big old fat stack of stickers to hand out. Paraglidingtalk.com stickers. Oh yeah. I should put those on the website for sale or something. Paraglidingtalk.com. Yeah. Also want to mention another sponsor real quick if I can. Will Fly donated $5 to Super Chat. He said Resurgence PBG rocks. Thanks, Will Fly. Appreciate that. And they do rock. Resurgence PBG does. Paragliderinspection.com. So this is a great organization that will get your wing all dialed in. Maybe it's out of trim and you're a free flight pilot and you want to be just maximizing your excellence in the air, your glide ratio. You can have your glider inspected. Maybe you want to get a porosity check, or maybe you flew it into a tree and you need a repair. Paragliderinspection.com. That's Andrew Fuller. That's Max's twin, Andrew Fuller. And so if you want to reach out to him, you can do that at paragliderinspection.com. They're a new sponsor of the show. Super cool, man. All these people just creating their own enterprises all over the place. I love it.
It's a thing.
That dog's got a glow in the dark collar. Did you see that? It's so cool. You probably can't see the other screens, Max. So you don't. All you get to see is just me and maybe Sean.
I'm watching the show along with you here.
Yeah. Glad to talk. So let's talk some more about. I'm really enjoying this. By the way, the time is flying way too fast. Let's talk about some of the maybe some of the wild stories that have come along with SIV. And people want to hear the gritty. They like that stuff. They like the stories. Maybe share some of your experiences in the old days and some of the things that maybe talk about the evolution of the SIV.
The good old days. The good old days. Yep. I got some stories. For you. But before I go into some of these stories, a couple of things that I wanted to let you guys know. One is that I just recently became an instructor admin as well. And my goal as instructor admin, aside from training pilots to become instructors at that beginner level, is I would like to completely revamp USHPA's how do you say their system, their ratings, their thing. What I really want is to introduce SIV ratings and sign-offs, maybe like special skills style, where if you've come to SIV, there will be a checklist of all the different maneuvers that you have completed and have an idea of what they are and how to do them, so that going forward, you as a pilot will have certain kind of gates to meet. So for example, right now there are no requirements for any of the ratings that, you do something like full stalls or deflations or anything. And honestly, as somebody who's been around paragliding for 20 something years, it's a bit wild to me to think that a pilot could become an instructor or a tandem pilot without having some competency in maneuvers in SIV.
Oh my gosh, so true.
So that's kind of what I've got in the works. I can't say too much about it yet, but that is my goal, is to put some stuff out there in USHPA and hopefully I become a how do I say, SIV instructor admin in a way, or just have a form for pilots to go through so that they can check those boxes and get the ratings that they should have, or get the experiences that they should have, to put them in a better space.
I mean, if you think about that, you would not just allow anyone to teach you, I don't know, skiing. You'd want somebody that knew every aspect of that sport and maybe even was a pro or some level of pro before you go send it. If your desire is to be good at something, you're going to want the best, the guy who's gone through it. With aviation, we shouldn't have guys teaching just because they want to teach or just because they're looking for a way to fund their sport. And, that's ultimately the dream. We all say, man, I really wish that I could, do what I want for a living. I wish that I could live and that's the ultimate goal. But we shouldn't, I feel like some instructors force themselves into a position where they're instructing just so that they can fill that dream of getting paid to instruct. And maybe, I'm just going to say straight up, if that's your endeavor to start training, you've got a real big uphill battle, even if you're expert level. It's going to take a long time networking. There's not a lot of pilots that you're just going to be like, oh, I've got a whole pool of people to pull on and bring to training so I can fund my dream. Reality is there's many instructors out there that are premature instructors, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the idea with having these boxes that we check, the idea of having the I'm a P3, now I'm a P4, now I am an instructor, then I'm a tandem. There's all these things that we want to complete these tasks. We see like, okay, this is the next hurdle, this is what I'm going for. And I think a lot of pilots get to the P3, P4 level, and then decide the next thing is instructing and tandem flying. And I'd really like to see, basically maybe not another hurdle. I don't want to put it as a hurdle, but yeah, another hurdle, another skill that pilots can go for, that pilots can achieve, so that we basically just bring the level of competency up. There is another system, an international system called API. And API has a really good program, and it lays it out in a very objective way. And so it's something that I feel like we could change our system. It wouldn't take much, just a few changes, and we can make sure that we are, above or, just at that same kind of level. And the goal is to just make it a more objective thing, make it less of a subjective thing where it's on me. Because, as an instructor, it's ultimately up to me. We have these little, boxes like for P3, 90 flights and 20 hours and X, Y, and Z. And it's really up to my judgment whether or not I give you the rating. So I can say, yeah, you have to have these 90 flights, you have to have these 20 hours, you have to have these objective criteria met. But then, at the end of that, I still have this like say. And what I'd rather have is, basically a more objective, like everybody is doing the same thing. We're all on the same level. We're all making, the same proficient pilots. So my goal moving forward as an instructor admin, with working with USHPA, is to make SIV a integral part of the USHPA system.
That's rad. Yeah, I'm super stoked. Not many people would I trust to step into that position. So I'm glad that you're doing that and taking it so seriously. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
Dave Ruff donated $5 to super chat. He said, Robert, Sarah stole the shirt you sent me. I was out of town and she took it. Yell at her, please, and give her the stink eye. That was me.
Oh, so I guess I forgot to mention, in tandem with this whole train of thought, I've created a rating system on my website which is basically just, mirroring kind of the SIV checklist of maneuvers that Appy's already set out. And I've made that so that I could have a way for instructors to check on their students. So if, like say you're an instructor and you are sending your students out to an SIV, you kind of have a broad idea of what they're going to do, but you don't know exactly. And so I've created the system so that instructors and pilots know kind of exactly what they've already done and what they have left to work on. And hopefully that'll become like actually a USHPA thing. For now, it's just a maxacro.com page.
Yep. Hey, do you have merch on your store yet?
Yes.
You
Yes,
got
I
Max Acro shirts?
I do. I do
What?
have Max Acro shirts.
I was
Not wearing one right now, unfortunately, but would you mind going?
I
I'll
kind of
get one.
tripped out when I saw that you have 10,000 subscribers
On Instagram.
Instagram. Like, what in the world?
Yeah,
I'm
isn't
way
that
behind.
crazy?
I've got to
That
catch
just
up.
shows you the power of posting, kind of
Yeah,
knowing that like being like a little bit more dedicated to it. I've just broke 10K after just a year.
Yeah, that's
anyway,
insane.
here's a maxacro.com.
Nice.
Sorry, Max Acro Paragliding long sleeve little hoodie.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's nice.
Cool, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Very
I've got
nice.
this, and then I also have some gear and all the usual stuff available on a paragliding store website.
Nice. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about. Here's the thing: most people, and especially the old school crew, they look at getting towed up by a boat over a lake as that's an old school. There's this mentality they have, like, oh man, that's crazy. It's backyard. It's dangerous, and only acro guys are going to be doing SIVs, and it's because they're junkies and blah blah blah. Maybe talk to that, and it's way safer than I realized. In my mind, I had this perception about what it was, and I was way off. And maybe you can talk about that and then share some stories.
Sure. I did my first SIV when I was 13 years old. Let me just start there with you. For all
Wow.
the guys that have been in the sport for 20 plus years. That was 20 years ago.
Was that Gabe driving the boat?
Gabe was there. He was instructing. He was on the radio.
Okay.
Anyways, to me, like this whole perception of it just comes from the stories of it, because we all have these stories of what happened at SIV, and you're gonna have more exciting stories, of course, because of just the nature of the beast, right? We're going up there and we're doing exciting things. We're flying in an intense way. To put it into perspective, how long do you have to fly around normally before you've experienced one SIV run? How long would you have to fly, just go whatever, doing cross country or sight flying before you had just one SIV run?
Right.
If I reflect on like myself, I would say, probably a good like 200 or 300 hours before I did one SIV run, like not trying. So it's intense. You're going to have more stuff coming up. There's going to be more exciting times and more fun stories coming out of it. For the mindset of the guys I would call the respectfully, the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs. And if this is you, I have a lot of respect for you, because you're the type of guy that started hang gliding when hang gliding was new, and now you're paragliding because it's easier. because it's, it gives you something different. And it has come a long ways in the last decade, especially. For those guys, for the guys that are old school pilots at heart that are now getting into paragliding, SIVs are to allow you to learn. As long as you've been flying, there is still something to learn. And I hope that you're still in a state where you're continuing to learn. I know that after flying for a long time, you kind of hit a plateau, and a lot of times we don't continue to learn. We sort of stagnate in our progression, and then we're just kind of enjoying flying around. But that's a dangerous place to be, because if we've stopped trying, if we've stopped learning, we're not going to be as engaged. We're going to become more distracted and maybe complacent. And yeah, accidents happen. That's how my accident happened. Complacency. So to be engaged in learning, to be actively participating in learning, means that you need to push outside your comfort zone, right? SIV settings, being over the water with altitude, with flotation device, with 2 reserves, with the boats ready to pick you up, gives you freedom. It's a freedom to be up there and have 99.99999% safeguards in check, and just go for it. Go train, do whatever it is, push outside that comfort zone, experience new things with the comfort of having all this altitude, all this stuff below you. Because man, if you're like that and you've been flying for a long time, chances are that you're probably leveling out in your progression, stagnating a little bit, maybe even declining. And SIV is something that even at that 20, 30, 40 years, I had Roy Haggard out there, and he's been flying since the 70s. So what's that? Yeah, 50 years.
Yeah. Wow.
If you're there, still come to SIV, still do that training, because that's going to give you a rejuvenation, it's going to give you insight into a sport that you've been doing this whole time and still didn't know everything about. So come on out, go throw it around up there, and see if you can learn something. See if you have truly apexed in everything, or if there's still more that you can learn, and a fun way of doing it. SIV is also really great, in my opinion, because it's 16 pilots, not all just scattered around flying around, but 16 pilots on the ground watching one pilot in the sky.
Oh, right. Interesting. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get feedback from everybody. Not to knock your training, but I think I learned just as much from you as I did with the guys that I was on the ground with, while you're teaching other people. And you can't teach everyone all at the same. I mean, I felt like when I went into my SAT, it was really the guy, and I can't even remember his name, that he was in my ear before I was going to go up. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I really want to do a SAT. And he's like, this is what you got to do. And he just walked me through, and he's like, you just got to visualize it. The way he explained it, I was like, dude, thank you. And then I went up and sent it. And then we lost radio connection, and it was like, you were on the radio telling me something like, you were like, okay, we're going to try something else. And it was like, I'm like, I guess I'm going to try a SAT with the left hand now and spin that way. It was, yeah, that was pretty cool. That
was most likely Jason that came up.
Jason, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jason's awesome, man. He is, he's a great instructor in training still. I think he is going to be my number one SIV instructor coming up here. So
really?
Jason, you're ready to take on that role.
No
But yeah,
kidding.
he has been coming to SIVs. Him and his wife Jen.
Yes, Jen.
They've
Love
been
Jen.
coming to the SIVs for oh God, how long has it been? Since 2018, 17, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Maybe longer. I can't remember exactly, but they've been coming and dedicated pilots coming to these SIVs as much as they could, and they have learned so much. They're both so knowledgeable, and Jason is very good at the way that he explains things. He's a natural kind of instructor.
Yeah. Aren't they like traveling nurses or something like that? Both of them? I can't remember. I think they are. Super cool people, by the way.
They are. They're great. I forget. I want to say they're in. No, Jason is sales. They're badass racers. They race bikes. They race.
Oh, really?
She works at a construction office, right? Something like that.
I'm confusing him with someone else, I guess.
And then he, I believe, is like a rep.
She says no.
No, she's in the chat.
Tell us. Put it in the chat.
Yeah, Jen, Jason, they're on. So yeah.
Wait, Jen's watching?
Yeah,
she's in the
Jen's-
chat.
Oh, Jen is in the chat. What up?
Hey, Jen.
That's so
Been in for
awesome.
quite a while
Talking about
too.
you guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're great. They're incredible people. I really love Jen and Jason.
I'm so glad they're watching. That is awesome. That is super cool. Yes, Jen, and please say hi to Jay for me. Yeah, so I think my biggest thing that I took away when I left the SIV, and by the way, this wasn't supposed to be like a big sales show to go and sign up with SIV. I'm sharing what I'm passionate about. When I came back to fly my regular old site, I felt like Superman. I was like, dude, I can do anything now. And I just had this confidence. Like, I know now what my glider is capable of. And I barely even scratched the surface. I did one SIV, man. And I felt so good and so confident after that. Going to the cap and just thinking, if things get crazy, I know what this glider is capable of and what it wants to do. And it wants to just fly. And I don't know how much that's worth financially. I don't know how much money that's worth, but I would pay a lot for that confidence. Had I known ahead of time what I was going to walk away with, I would have signed up way earlier. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. You could say you learned how to paraglide at that.
I did. I definitely, if I could just say, I came home and I could do a sat. That was really important to me. That was the one thing that I really wanted to be able to do. And I was able to do it. And then big wing overs. I love Max on the radio telling you, okay, you can go bigger than that. You can go bigger than that. Oh, there it is. That was nice. All the way over.
Oh, yep. Keep going. Keep pushing.
Yeah.
That's most people. Most pilots getting to their first SIV have that voice like you had on the radio. Come on, man, you can do it. Pull a little more. Give me 6 more inches of brake. Give me another foot of brake. Come on, throw harder, faster. No,
throw it.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And then if it's the other 10%. The other 10% are like, I'm gonna just fully charge, and then those ones are the okay. Just calm down a little bit. Just relax. Just smooth it out. Be nice and gentle. Here you go. Feel it. Because most of us going into SIV for our first time, we're going to be conservative. We're going to hold back and take it kind of at a easy-ish pace. But then there's the few people that come to SIV and just have in their mind like, no, I'm really going to do this. And that's actually like not what I quite want. When I tell people about this stuff in the briefings, I tell them I want them to really go balls to the wall, really just throw it all down and
Yeah.
you know, throw it all on the table. And then when guys actually do it, it's like, okay, well, you know,
Okay, too much.
there's a balance there.
Yeah. Oh man. I have to mention a couple sponsors before we run out of time. I want to mention Nebraska PBG, Josh Bowden. He has a school in Nebraska. If you want to get signed up and you're in that side of the country, he's got all kinds of classes coming up. So the winter is coming to an end and the nice seasons are coming for training. So Nebraska PPG, there'll be a link in the description if you want to get a hold of him. Also, I want to mention Ron Turan. He was just on the last episode. So if you go back one episode 249, you'll find Ron Turan was on the show. He runs Lone Star Paramotor. If you're wanting to get some training and you're in Texas, LoneStarParamotor.com is the website. I also want to mention Resurgence PPG. ResurgencePPG.com is the website. If you want to support your men and women of uniform in the United States, you can do that by contributing to ResurgencePPG.com. What happens is when you donate to them, you're actually sponsoring one of our veterans to get up in the air. And what he found is that guys that found something in the sport of flying somehow with paramotoring, it took their focus off of the chaos, maybe a PTSD or whatever they were going through in life, and gave them a new vision and revitalized them. And that's why he called it resurgence, because it's a resurgence of guys that maybe had a vision, maybe had a dream, and they got jacked up from battle or whatever, and they have this new hope, and it's such a great idea. And so Todd Scandrick came up with that really cool thing. It's also a 501c3, so it's tax deductible if you make that donation. So I know it's tax season. You can think about that for next year, I guess. And that's that. Max, I want to say special thanks tonight to Cheyenne for taking care of all the background. I know that she's she's right there.
Yeah, she's in the background,
handling all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Hey there.
We love you.
We could not handle what you handle without her. So we got to make sure we give appreciation where it's due. Yeah. So
yeah, I'll go ahead and add to that. Thank you, Cheyenne, my wonderful wife. I could not do this without you. Make my dreams come true. So I really appreciate you.
All right, you can sleep in the house.
Okay,
nice.
cool. I'm back in the house.
Back in.
Back in. Yeah, God, it's been cold in that shed out there.
Yeah, it's been cold in San Diego lately. Gosh, man. I took the sweater off today for the first time, and
it was a nice day. It was a nice day today.
It was beautiful today. Yeah. It wasn't flyable. I don't think, but it was good.
I got winds going 20 and gusting 50 out here right now.
Oh, and freezing cold probably.
Actually, no. It's actually warm. It's let's see here. I'm gonna find out. We're going to give you a local weather report here. It's 48 degrees.
That's not
48
bad.
degrees. It's not too
right
bad.
now.
It was like 19 or something like that at night out here for about a week. So
wow.
It was, yeah. Pretty
well,
bad.
Again, I want to say appreciate all the sponsors, all the people that have been supporting the show on Patreon, PayPal, and all the super chatters. You guys are awesome. All the people that have a wrench next to the name, they've done something special for the show. Really appreciate you guys and supporting the show. Moderators, Sean, thank you for what you do. Gringo, thank you for putting the wonderful ambiance with the campfire in the background at the fly-in. Wish I could be there. I had to hold it down and do the show. Somebody's got to do it. Paraglidingtalk.com. You want to find some past episodes, amazing episodes in the past. We're episode 250. You got 249 other shows you can go and watch, and you'll learn something on every single one. If you think the show's worthy, maybe go check out Patreon and support the show on Patreon for the price of a cup of coffee. You can learn something, might save your life or save your friends' lives. Support the show, and let's keep it going. So appreciate you guys. We're going to go to the after show. I'm not going to hold Max hostage, but if you want to come and jump on, there'll be a link here in the description in just a second, or in the chat in just a second. You can come hang out with us. Paraglidingtalk.com after show. pretty
Hey,
amazing.
Robert, before you sign off,
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
say thank you very much for Paragliding Talk. It's been great. I'm so proud of you. Thanks for 250 episodes over however long it's been, 5 years, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for Paragliding Talk. You're awesome, man. Good job.
Yeah, man. It's my pleasure. I love it, man. This is the dream, just to come and hang out. Celebrities like Max Marion. Yeah. Famous. My mom wants an autograph, by the way. She's in the chat. She said she wants some kind of an autograph shirt. I think when we were talking about the shirts, she put one autograph shirt. So we have to bring mom down to Torrey Pines and get that autograph.
All right.
Yeah.
Happy to
Yeah.
autograph mom shirt for you. Buddy.
Yep. All right, we're gonna go to the after show. So if you want to jump on, you see the meeting, join that link, and we'll see you on the next one.